Hey, welcome back up in all here. Today we're checking out why do Americans get food poisoning so much? I didn't know we do.
Picture this. You tune into a US podcast, and within minutes, someone is recounting their latest bout of food poisoning. As a Brit who's never spent a night worshipping the porcelain throne because of dodgy chicken, it can feel like Americans are constantly running to the bathroom. America calls itself the greatest country in the world, but from where I sit, it looks like half the nation is producing diarrhea rather than democracy.
There is currently a cyclospora thing happening. Is that what it's called, cyclospora? And it causes explosive diarrhea for like a couple weeks, which is horrifying to think about. I have had food poisoning a few times, but when I think about it, I lived in Atlanta for 19 years, and over that 19 years, I think I had food poisoning maybe 2 or 3 times. But I've lived in Los Angeles for 6 years, and I've had food poisoning probably like 6 times I can think about. I've had norovirus, salmonella, and I don't even know what the other stuff was, but I've had it more in Los Angeles. I don't know what that means. I don't know.
1 in 6 Americans get food producing diarrhea rather than democracy. 1 in 6 Americans get food poisoning. Every year, the Centers for Disease Control estimates roughly 48 million people get sick from foodborne illnesses. And out of those, about 128,000 are hospitalized and 3,000 die. The top culprits are norovirus, salmonella, and a bunch of other bacteria that I won't even bother to pronounce.
Hang on, you know what? I bet it's a lot more people than that. Because every time I've had food poisoning, I don't go to the doctor. I don't report it. I don't go to the hospital. I just deal with it, you know? So there's probably a lot more cases than that.
When you compare it to the UK, however, the Food Standards Agency estimates around 2.4 million cases to about 1 in 28 people. Experts do warn that it's misleading to directly compare the UK and the US because the data is collected differently. Still though, even with the caveats, the American numbers look like the England rugby squad after a night in Newcastle. Messy and covered in brown. 1 in 6.
Wow. Huh. 1 in 6 compared to 1 in 28. That's a huge difference. He says that the data is collected differently, but still, that's a big difference. Why is that?
Is insane. If 1 in 6 sandwiches poison me that often, I'd never buy a meal deal again, yet Americans keep queuing up for drive-thrus like it's the Daytona 500. And yes, I use that reference without actually knowing what it is. I was just hoping that it would really sink in for you Yanks. Another reason for this is their industrial food production. It's all mass-produced, which means mass contamination. US food culture is dominated by a centralized industrial production. A single meat packing plant can supply burgers to half the country. Experts at the University of Florida note that while technology has improved outbreak detection, a centralized model for food production means a single contamination event can affect products nationwide.
Okay, interesting. So because, we have a huge population. What is it, 350 million? Compared to about 70 million in the UK. So you could also argue, like, for America to not have this huge industrial complex of food production, it would be impossible to safeguard the way that the UK does, which is unfortunate. And you know what's weird, though, is he's mentioning fast food, like drive-thrus and that, mass production of food and delivery, but every time I think of when I've had food poisoning, it's not been at fast food places. It's been, I think, at restaurants that are pretty upscale. But I don't know where they get their food. Maybe they do get it from this industrial service. I don't know.
It's a bit like a dodgy engine in a car on the road. When something goes wrong, it goes wrong for millions.
Right.
The contributing factors are scale and speed. Huge processing facilities, conveyor belts, and automation can make it hard to detect contamination quickly. Globalization, which means ingredients travel long distances and cross borders, and by the time the authorities discover the problem, the offending lettuce has starred in TikTok salad hacks across 50 states.
The lettuce, y'all. They always say, don't eat the lettuce. Whenever I get a pre-made sandwich from the grocery store, I take the lettuce off. Don't buy the lettuce in the bags. And actually, they think what's causing the cyclosporia, I'm sure that's not what it's called. What's causing the current food thing now is iceberg lettuce at Taco Bell. They're not totally sure, but that seems to be what it is. The first time I heard it, it made me want Taco Bell more, actually, because it just put Taco Bell in my head. Oh, but then this morning I just read that there's a recall on eggs. There's salmonella on our eggs. There's poop on our eggs.
Consumer demand means that more people want raw or minimally processed foods, like unpasteurized juices or organic produce. These choices may skip important safety steps like pasteurization and increase the risk of contamination. The US is constantly in a recall roulette. Weekly recalls of tomatoes, cucumbers, and deli meat are now a depressing mainstay of US news feeds. When one factory's salad mix can hospitalize more people than the city of Leicester, maybe your food system needs a bit of a tune-up. And a lot of Americans get confused in my comment section with eggs. Specifically, eggs, salmonella, and why Brits don't refrigerate them. Ever wondered why American supermarkets keep their eggs in the fridge? Well, it's because the US eggs are washed and sprayed with chemical sanitizer to reduce the risk of salmonella. The USDA then insists eggs be stored at below 7.2 Celsius and warns that a cold egg left on the counter will sweat and let bacteria in. Europe does the complete opposite. We don't wash our eggs at all. Instead, we focus on keeping the hen houses clean and vaccinating the entire flock.
Yeah. But see, I'm not saying this is an excuse, but for us to vaccinize every chicken, it's probably not cost effective. It's probably about the money. And gosh, when I think of those chicken houses, it's so sad. Sometimes I'll see chickens on a semi truck. They're in their cages. They're just stuffed in there. It's so sad. They're just pooping on each other. It's horrible what we do to these animals. But I still eat. I just had chicken last night. I'm going to have more chicken tonight. Damn it.
It's actually illegal in the UK to wash eggs because washing can damage the egg's natural cuticle, and British farmers began vaccinating hens in 1997, which contributed to a rapid decline in salmonella cases. The US, though, never mandated vaccination. The FDA argued that there wasn't enough evidence and it would be costly. So in Britain, we vaccinate our hens and avoid sloshing them in chemicals. And in America, they scrub them like they're a convict in the showers and then wonder why they're still getting ill. Another part comes to home cooking and personal hygiene. Not all food poisoning comes from restaurants. A significant share of outbreaks are linked to improper food handling at home. The University of Florida experts emphasize 4 basic steps: clean, separate, cook, and chill. Many Americans are apparently too busy recording mukbang videos to wash their hands properly, leaving leftovers out for more than 2 hours or less than an hour in hot weather invites bacteria. And raw meat should...
Hot weather. That might be... I wonder if that's part of it too. Like, we have more areas that have really hot weather than in the UK. Right? That might have something to do with it.
Never touch fresh salad, yet countless kitchen counters in influencer videos are cross-contamination crime scenes. Norovirus is the leading cause of foodborne illnesses and spreads easily from unwashed hands. Combine lax kitchen hygiene with a love of potluck gatherings, and you've got a recipe for a norovirus outbreak.
Y'all, I had norovirus. I got norovirus from eating raw oysters. It was at this really nice restaurant. My cousin and I had raw oysters. We took the chance. And we both were in our respective bathrooms for 2 days. 2 days of liquids coming from both ends. Just think about that. 2 days. Just think about it. I'll give you a moment to think about that. That's enough.
which could be bad enough to kill off an entire small town. Perhaps the real epidemic is not bacteria, but laziness? If you treat your cutting board like a dance floor, don't be surprised when the bugs join in. A lot of this also relies down to the FDA. One of the most share-worthy facts is that the US Food and Drug Administration publishes maximum levels of defects.
No, this is... He already said insect... Yep, insect fragments, rat crap. There's a little bit that we allow in our food. This is so gross. The other time I know I got food poisoning was from raw almonds. I was actually working on an album with Elton John, and his bass player, Bob Birch, also got food poisoning from the raw almonds. But a doctor came to see Bob at the studio and gave him an IV of fluids. I, meanwhile, stayed home on my birthday with salmonella. Okay.
Rodent hairs, etc., at which it must take enforcement action. These are enforcement limits rather than acceptable targets, but the numbers are still pretty stomach-turning. Ground paprika can have more than 11 rodent hairs per 25 grams. Ground ginger can have 3 milligrams of mammal excrement per pound. Peanut butter, 30 insect fragments per 100 grams. And for orange juice, 1 or more maggots per 250 milliliters. That one in particular makes me feel quite sick.
Hang on. 250 milliliters is not that much. That's like that much in a container this big around. And what was the other one? There was amount of grams in the paprika.
Ground paprika can have more than 11...
25 grams can have 11 rodent hairs. 25 grams is not that much, y'all. I just gave a thumbs up. That's disgusting. Disgusting.
That one in particular makes me feel quite sick. If you're an American getting a bit upset that a Brit is sort of telling you to be a bit cleaner, look, I'm going to say this. It's tempting to declare, right, that Americans are simply more susceptible to food poisoning, but scientists caution that international comparisons can be misleading because of different data collection methods. UK models use studies and shorter recall periods, and US estimates rely heavily on telephone surveys and adjust for underreporting.
Okay. We adjust for underreporting. UK doesn't. UK food poisoning models often utilize a 7-day recall period for food consumption studies.
Use studies and shorter recall periods, and US estimates rely heavily on telephone surveys and adjust for underreporting. Access to healthcare and reporting practices also differ. Nevertheless, there are genuine differences.
I don't know. I think the access to healthcare would flop it the other way, because an American like me, when I get food poisoning, I wait it out. But if I had free health care, I'd probably go to the hospital and try to get something for it. So in the UK, they're going to the hospital more, so then it's reported.
Reporting practices also differ. Nevertheless, there are genuine differences. So to wrap this whole info dump up on why Americans seem to get food poisoning so much, this is it. The vaccination of poultry. The UK's mass vaccination reduced salmonella. The US lacks a national mandate about it. Cooking habits. Brits apparently are just a bit cleaner and
Yeah, that vaccination thing bothers me because it's doable here. And the US just doesn't do it because it's expensive. I'm sure that's why. That's got to be why, right? So we just let them poop on each other and try to scrub the poop off. That's our answer.
National mandate about it. Cooking habits. Brits apparently are just a bit cleaner and generally cook meat thoroughly and avoid raw meat and eggs.
Okay, yeah. I would imagine Americans are a little more, I'll say, adventurous with their food. Just, you know.
While American trends such as runny burgers, sushi burritos, and cookie dough desserts tend to increase the risk. It also comes down...
That raw cookie dough is good, y'all. And sushi?
Burgers, sushi burritos, and cookie dough desserts tend to increase the risk. It also comes down to the farming factory scale. US production is much bigger and more centralized, meaning that one contamination affects more people.
Right.
And yeah, look, comparing the two countries is tricky, but when your eggs have been on a chemical spa day and your peanut butter comes with insect croutons, maybe accept that your dining experience is a bit more adventurous than ours. And conclusion, as a Brit who is quite proud about his country's food standards, let's wrap this up with a little bit of advice from across the pond. 1. Vaccinate your hens.
Yeah.
It works wonders here in Britain and Europe. Embrace boring, safe food. Maybe skip the raw milk cleanse and steak tartare TikTok challenge your bowels. We'll thank you. Wash your hands, all right? Separate your cutting boards and use a thermometer. Food safety is not just for professional chefs. And also, maybe stop talking about pooing yourself on podcasts all the time. Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you guys are constantly shitting yourself. And until America sorts...
I don't listen to many podcasts, but I don't remember anyone ever talking about pooing themselves.
And until America sorts its dinner plate out, I'll be over here enjoying my runny yolk without a medical bill. The greatest country on earth, maybe, but only if you're measuring by stomach cramps.
So much shame.
Big Nibbles. This has been something I was just genuinely curious about and thought I'd make a video. Watch this, and subscribe.
What's with all the shame, Big Nibbles? Come on now. Y'all be sure to go to Big Nibbles and like and subscribe. It's actually very interesting. I think in general, because our food distribution is so widespread, it's so much bigger and more industrialized, like he's saying, if one little bit is contaminated, it gets spread out a lot easier. And to take the safeguards that the UK takes would be a lot more expensive. Well, I'd like to thank my patrons. I'd like to thank my Buy Me a Coffee folks. Thank y'all for watching this with me, and I'll see y'all next time.